Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to go through kind of a how-to on making a jig and setting up to build your own engine mounts, or at least to replace your factory ones, like especially like these big old guys. We don't need all that for this. So there's a lot of ways to do this. What I'm going to do is use the original mounts, and I'm going to make a jig because of how they go in the Dakota. Now the process is the same for lots of different cars. If you take however your mount bolts to the block and however it goes to the chassis, if you can take all that off together, make a jig, and then it doesn't matter, you still got to think about things structurally, but as long as you connect those two in your jig, doesn't matter how you do it, it's going to work. So this is how it goes into the Dakota. It slides in these. So it's not overly complicated. I have no need to move any of that stuff. I just want to get rid of this big bulky thing and make something like I did on my 240 with a shackle mount. Now, these are a little wider, so I'm going to have to widen these out. The bushing will stay the same width. I'll just get a longer piece of steel to go in between, and we'll just make it happen. But first thing we're going to do, I'm going to use this plate. I'm going to get this bolted down to it. And right here. And this one's going to go right here. I'll have to take these shields off because it's sitting flopping around. And we want enough that we can make some of these, use some of these to make some risers to make sure that we hit our holes. So whenever we make our new piece, we'll put a plate down here, we'll put our bushing and our shell in the place of where this was in the jig, and then as long as we connect the two, which I thought about using flat plates, but I've got some 3/4 inch tube, some chrome moly on the way, and I think I'm going to triangulate it with some tube. I think it'll look cool. Hypotech sells something like that for these Dakotas. They're 300 bucks. I can make it myself. I like fabbing stuff, so I want to do it. It's been a while since I've actually built anything. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to get these shields off of here, and we'll start drilling some holes and get these bolted down. Looks like this one's going to need a little bit of extra work. This one's flat. I can just bolt it down. This one's got this rib, which I'm sure is for some structure, but it's got this rib, and I'm either got to space it up off the template, which I really don't want to do. I'd rather just make it so I can bolt my new stuff just straight down. So I guess I'm just going to have to grind this off of there. I think that's what I'll do. Alright, that really sucked, but it's flat. And I went ahead and knocked the crud off of this one, so I don't have to worry about it sitting crooked either. So now I just gotta get this thing set down, get the holes marked, and start drilling. Right there. Just gonna make it easier. I'm gonna make it as easy to get to weld it as possible. That should be decent. All right. Hold this still. Good. That one should work right there. holes are marked. 1, 2, 3. So over here, and I'll stand here. I'll have to get creative making this stand. If I had my widths just right, I could make it come off of one side and tighten it up, but I'd rather have both because this could get off easier. Having both sides a little harder to mess that up. So we got our 3 holes marked over here. It's gonna go just like we said before. It's gonna sit like that, enough room. This one will be easy to get my stand up to it, to get it marked and drilled. This one will be a little more complicated, but we'll figure it out. I might actually have to move this down. That might be a better way to go. The middle bolt is at the top of the block, right here. I want that open. So maybe if I scoot this down to the edge, remark the holes, and then that'll give me a little more room to come up here with my stand for the jig. So we'll do that. Got some bolts, got this bolted down. I ended up having to grind some off of right here because it kind of swept down. So when I went to snug them up, I could see that it was rocking and not flat. So I fixed that. This side, like I said, is going to be easy. So I'll set this back up on the tripod, and this side, I'm just going to set this up here, hold it square, mark where to cut, and then I'll send a drill bit through it, mark it, drill it. You know, the Sharpie might even go through that hole. That'd be close. Be cool if it did. Oh, bingo. Nice and easy. Alright, so that's how we're going to do that. This outside one will be easy because all I can do is stand one up, drill it, put the bolt in, hold it there, tack it to the plate. So that one's easy. This side, getting over here is going to be weird. So this is the bottom. So I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I'll have to think about it, but I'll get back with you. But anyway, we're going to start with the easy one. I'm just going to go at it. Uprights are made, factory bolts through it, so we're ready to weld it to the plate. So we'll get the welder set up and get after it, and then we'll tackle this thing. It's just that easy. So the jig's good for this side. Now I've got to figure out this side first, get it tacked on, and then figure out how I'm going to cut and weld something to get to that. Alright, it's been a couple days. I've tinkered with this a little bit here and there. I went ahead and made the plate. Now, I've figured a little more out since then, but I made the plate and I cut this so I can kind of look at it and think about it. And what I've figured out is this is the bottom of the block. We're not going to use any of this. We'll end up just cutting this off. Now, right about here where the edge of this is, on the block, there's this boss for the different style motor mounts. So we're going to end up catching these two bolts, and we'll put something and bolt through there to catch that, because the motor mount sits right here. And I was trying to figure out, like, well, how am I gonna, there's not enough height to triangulate this to get that from there. So, and which makes sense, that's why it's made this way. So I can't just go from here to there, there's not enough height. So we'll have this over here bolted to the block, and we'll have a stand, two stands here, and one stand kind of aiming this way towards the boss, or where the bolt boss is going to be in the block. That should be the best supported place. So that should work out just fine. This one's going to be the same way. This one's a little taller, so by the time that ends up in there, we'll have more room than that one. And something to keep in mind that people don't know is the engines are never really centered in anything. They have to be offset just a little bit, and if they got to clear more stuff over there or whatnot. But I'm pretty sure this thing's shoved over this way a little bit. And if you look at the center line of the truck and where the trans tunnel is to the truck, everything is over this way. Now, when I was younger, about 18, I had a Ram and I wanted to scoot it back an inch, and I wasn't paying enough attention. I scooted it back an inch and centered everything in the frame rail. That's great, except for it's supposed to be an inch offset, so I couldn't bolt everything back up. I had to move everything over. And then the headers were hitting things that they wouldn't have had I just put it back where it was supposed to be, or just moved it straight back 1 inch. But so that's why I didn't want to try to measure and do this. I just used the motor mount that came out of it, put it back where it was. It's going to line up, everything's going to be fine. So this is 1 3/4 DOM. It's a 1/8 inch wall. So it's 1.5 inch inner diameter, which is perfect for these. This is a part number bushing I've been using. These are like Chevy 1500, leaf spring bushings, so 1.5 inch outer right here. So that will slide down in there. So that's what we've got. This one's just black. Now, I didn't want to get really heavy on everything, even though that's quarter plate, that's 1/8 wall, but you're gonna need some structure. This is 3/4 by 0.95 wall, and it just conveniently happens to be the same as what was in these bushings. So since the bushing is wider, this is the width it would be in the leaf spring. Since it's wider, I needed to make a longer piece of steel to go in there, a longer sleeve. So the stuff I'm using to make the braces is also what fits the 9/16 bolt inside the bushing. So 3/4, this is chrome moly, 0.95 wall, fits 9/16 bolt, 3/4 outer, 1 3/4 DOM, quarter wall, 1.5 inch inner, works good with this bushing. And I forgot these in my 240, they're holding up just fine. I said the biggest reason I want those in here is to get a little more room to work on. Also, I don't want the engine shaking around so much, because I plan on running my exhaust out the bedside. I plan on running it out about right there, so you don't want everything tweaking around. It just starts getting rattly and annoying, and I don't want that. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to set this up, and I'm going to get to grinding these and get these to fit the way I want them to. Because these are going to go in here. Now, obviously shaped much different because they'll be all the way scooted in and rounded to fit in there. And this side will be a little bit of an angle coming over. Probably I might just go straight up right there and just let her rip, because there's going to be that thing bolted right here to the block, and this right there is 1/4 inch. It should be strong enough. Well, here we go. got one welded together. Not the best welder, but it should hold. Well, practice makes perfect. I'll get better at it. Some of this stuff's really hard to get to, like these corners with it assembled. If I had thought about it more, I would have tacked better on the base and just barely tacked it here to get it jigged up. Got this welded, cut this back off so I can get inside to weld it, but when you do that, things are gonna move still. So sometimes it is what it is. Well, I got it all welded and we're gonna be all right. Now, we don't need this meat here, so I'll cut this off. It's not doing anything. And at this point, this over here isn't doing anything. You'd have to brace it up to make it kind of reinforce the block or whatever. I doubt it. So that's getting cut off right there. And to use this bolt here, we've got these big spacers. I might even have some. If I find one, I'll show you. But we got some big spacers that are kind of thick with 3/8 hole in them at the place I work. So I'll probably just use one of those, set that there, tighten it up, weld it to it, and I'll be done. And then I've still got to do the whole other side. I'll video the rest of this one's progress until it's done, and the other one I'll do off camera, and you'll see it again when it's complete, painted, and back on the block. Because I got some other things I want to do to the truck, so I want to get those made, use that block for mocking up, set it in here, and like I got to do some transmission crossmember stuff. It's mangled. I think I'll just make something. I might just go buy one. Sometimes it's nice to make stuff, but sometimes why? If I can just go spend 20, 40 bucks to get one that's not mangled and be alright. But the way I want my exhaust to go through, I may want to at least modify one so I have more room, because I'd like to put an X pipe in there, and it had one in it, but it's very tight right there by the transmission. If I can get me a little more room there, I'd be happy. And I might just make it work and leave it alone, but I'd like dual 3-inch X pipe. So anyway, I'm gonna get back to it. This one's all the way done. Got my spacer welded on there, and I went ahead and made the other side. It just took a while cutting these at different angles to make it work out right. I think it's going to be plenty strong enough. It's way lighter, definitely got more room to get around stuff while working on it, and it's going to be stiffer, so it's going to be all right. Since I want to run the exhaust out the bedside, I don't want the engine up there shaking and have to use a bunch of flex joints and other crap. I mean, I'm sure I'll still have flex joints and it'll be semi-solid back there and then a flex joint, but you only get away with so much of that. And then once the exhaust gets hot and cold and hot and cold, everything will tweak a little, just because I've seen it happen, and then things start rattling. And so stiff engine mounts should help prevent all the other issues. Hopefully, we'll find out. Well, I want to show you one more time the practice on welding that, because it's been a while. I don't weld all the time. But the practice from welding that made this one much easier. This one's also got a little more room to get in there, so there's that too. But some of this is chrome moly, the plate's just mild steel. I've still got to cut some stuff off of this one. Anyway, should be fine. It looks good, should be plenty strong. So I'm going to trim the rest of this, sand it, paint them black and let it go. Alright, we're all done. Bushings are pressed in. Everything's painted. I think they turned out pretty nice. It was $300 from Hypotech to buy these, and I think this is actually a little better because the way they do it is just looks like 1/8 inch sheet metal, or I don't know what sheet metal, but just 1/8 inch material, and the leg that connects this is also just an 1/8 inch leg, where this is freaking solid. That's not going anywhere. So I probably got $50 in this, and I've got a lot of material left. I already had the 1 3/4. There's still a whole 8-foot stick over there. The 3/4 in the floor there, I've got more of it. So even though I probably got $50 in it, I have excess materials for next time I need to build something. So I probably got $50 in this, and so I saved $250. I didn't have to do it, but I think it's a good upgrade, and it was something to do. I enjoyed it. Now, I didn't powder coat these or anything. I just painted them. I don't like the mess of powder coating at home, so it's not something I'm going to get into. I used to do a lot of powder coating. Trust me, if anyone's that's done that type of work, it just sucks. But for rattle can stuff, this roll bar and chassis, it's great. It's some pretty tough stuff. So that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully I'll have some more stuff soon, and I'll get my Dakota back together. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.